call to order this meeting of the National School District Governing Board. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. And tonight, our assistant will be Samuel Rosales. Go ahead, Samuel.
Please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have roll call, please.
Ms. Avalos?
Present.
Ms. Betancourt Castañeda?
Present.
Ms. Lizarraga?
Present.
Ms. Lee?
Present.
Ms. Sarmiento?
Present. In a unanimous vote, the board voted to approve a compromise agreement and release the OAH case number 20230803322. The agreement includes funds for special education services and fees in exchange for waiving claims against the district. Also, in closed session, the board voted unanimously to appoint Ms. Stephanie Conlon as principal at Rancho de la Nacion School. Ms. Conlon comes to us from Bonita Vista Middle School in the Sweetwater Union High School District. Ms. Conlon has been a vice principal, a district resource teacher, and a Spanish dual immersion teacher. Please welcome Ms. Conlon, and would you like to come up and say a few words?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just want to say I am very appreciative and overwhelmed with joy with just being given this opportunity. I look forward to serving the community, being the new principal of Rancho de la Nacion, and I look forward to collaborating with our board, with our superintendent, management, and getting to know all of our community members. So thank you. Muchas gracias. Me da mucho orgullo ser parte de la comunidad. Gracias. Welcome to the NSD family.
Okay, with that, we have a presentation by Las Palmas School students.
Good evening, Governing Board and Executive Cabinet. I am Berenice Walker, the proud principal of Las Palmas Elementary School. And I'm here with a few of my students, 2 students from Mr. Petty's 5th and 6th grade class, in addition to 2 of our TK students in Ms. Taher's class. And they are going to be speaking to you about the Read to Me program at Las Palmas and how they are striving to help all of our students reach grade level proficiency. Before I turn it over. There we go. All right, now I will pass along the microphone to our students.
Hi, my name is William. I am a 6th grade student at Las Palmas. We all know that reading is an important part of everyday life for children and adults. That's why in August, 6th graders helped start the Read to Me program for TK students. It is an awesome way that we can be a part of helping everyone in our schools strive and thrive. We had to learn how to read to our TK partners, so Ms. Felter trained us how to be a coach. As a Read to Me coach, I knew that I had to be familiar with the books I was going to read before I read them to my TK partner. Sometimes I choose the book, sometimes my partner chooses it, or sometimes we vote on what book to read.
I'm Samuel, 5th grade at Las Palmas. After we got trained, it was time to meet our TK partners.
My name is Amari.
This is my reading buddy.
My name is Colin.
What book did you bring today?
Coming. Chicka chicka boom boom.
What is the story about?
Lettuce and a coconut tree.
How do you know?
I've seen this book before. I see some lettuce and a coconut tree.
And then what letters do you see?
I see D, E, F, H, and E.
What's your favorite part of the book?
The coconut tree.
What?
I've seen the book before.
How does Read to Me help our younger students?
They develop a love of reading.
Read to Me also helps improve their academic skills. As a TQ, As a TK reader, I look forward to reading to my partner. I love seeing his excitement when I enter the room. I enjoy seeing his reaction when we speak and read books together. We look at the colors and letters in the book. My partner has learned how to hold the book, and I've seen him get more confident. It's also exciting when we reach our goal of 50 books together. We've already read 100 books, and we're working on the next 100 books together. How does Read to Me work? Let's show some. Title. We read the title, and we just read the title. A color of is on. A color is on.
The color is on.
What do you see in this picture?
Iguana turning like a tiger and they're pattern. Brown, orange, 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 brown.
Amari, why do you like this book?
Because I like the show iguana turning his own color.
It also develops concentration on their learning and being able to focus on their tasks.
Read to Me helps our school community work together towards the sustainable development goals program that were adopted by United Nations. Our program helps us strive toward the global goal number for quality education by helping our younger students achieve grade level proficiency.
It also helps us strive to reduce inequalities in goal number 10 by giving all students an opportunity to receive the help they need. We are also striving to create partnerships with our students in goal number 17.
Good night. Thank you. Good night.
Well, you know, if they go, then nobody's gonna listen to us. So, hi, you guys rock. You did a really nice job. I can. So the thing that's really cool is you get big kids to read, right? Sometimes it's weird when you just only have big, the adults read to you. Where are the kids who are reading? And so do they come to your class or do you go to them? They go to your class. Okay, well, that's cool. And Mr. Petty lets them? He does. Really? That's a great idea. I think more kids should go and hang out with you. That'll be fun.
Once I'm growing up, I can be a reading buddy.
But I'll tell you, that also speaks to the way you treat them. So thank you very much. Thank you for realizing that they need you too. So honestly, but we have some certificates of participation for you. Plus, we have something for you to draw and write and color in. Okay? And then, you know what I'm gonna ask you to do? I'm gonna give you the things, and then we're gonna go up front so we can get your pictures. Because everybody wants pictures of the people who did such a good job. Okay? Is that all right? You guys good? Okay. So, Carmen Tayson. This one is for you. It's got your name on it, and we have a book for you. Some little fun is, we're gonna go right up front. Let's see. Is your name Glory Samaron Fernandez? That's you? Okay, I've got yours too. So there you go. Thank you very much. We like to take pictures. Yeah, come on up.
Come in the front, parents, family, take pictures. Go Las Palmas.
Thank you for coming.
Bravo. Thank you. Item 5B will be recognizing Felix Bahena, Las Palmas Schools, National School District Strive Volunteer.
Good afternoon, good evening. I am honored to present to you Mr. Jose Felix Baena as our National School District Volunteer of the Month. Mr. Baena, can I have you come on up and stand next to me so I'm not by myself? I know we're not as cute as the TKers, but we try. Mr. Baena has been doing an incredible job as a member of our PTA at Las Palmas. He has been in PTA for 7 years. He has dedicated 5 of those years as an officer, including as his recent role as a PTA president last year, and this year he is the PTA vice president. We're very sad that Elena, his daughter, is in 6th grade. 7 years is a long time. So excited, but we're very sad. So while Felix and Mr. Baena might be a very quiet presence on our campus, his impact is anything but. Not only does he always have a smile on his face coming straight from the baseball field, but he consistently goes above and beyond in supporting what our school community needs and making sure that every event we have is a success. Whether it's setting up or cleaning up after functions, Felix is always there working tirelessly to ensure a smooth operation of our activities, even though he does have a full-time job and is a baseball coach. So he juggles many hats. A prime example of this is when we had our inaugural NSD 5K fun run last year in May, where Felix arrived at the crack of dawn. I think it was 6 o'clock. It was still very dark and cold, but he was there with the PTA helping inflate balloons and inflate the columns and making sure that it was eye-catching and it was ready for not only our students, but for our families, and that make sure that the event was a success. We were having trouble putting up posters. He had a toolbox ready to go, and don't tell anyone, but he even used the screwdriver in the tree, but we won't say anything about that. We did remove it afterwards, don't worry. But yeah, it shows like he's really willing to go and do whatever it takes. And during our back to school night, I literally had to kick them off of campus because I needed to go home, and they were still wanting to make sure that everything was set up in the courtyard and ready for our students the next day, because he really wanted to make sure that our environment was ready for our students to be learning the next day. While Felix's selfless contributions to Las Palmas are often behind the scenes, we are privileged to have him as part of our community. And as I stated earlier, while it is cause for celebration, it's also very bittersweet because Elena will be moving on into junior high. So Felix, you and your family will be very sorely missed next year.
Bravo.
On behalf of our staff and our students and parents, I appreciate you and I thank you for your contributions, and we're grateful to have you as part of our team. Thank you.
Here we go. On behalf of our superintendent and our trustees and staff, Mr. Felix Baena, we're giving you this nice little plaque. A volunteer, you know, without our volunteers, what would we do? We wouldn't know what to do whatsoever. Our teachers are very, very busy with our children and parents that come in to see the children. But because of you, we are so proud of what you've done for our schools. And I know it takes a lot of time. And thank you for your family. And I know you're here because you have a child here, right? And so you're doing a great job. So because of our staff here, our principal, I'd like to present you with this. And we don't want you to dehydrate. So we're going to give you a value volunteer award here also to put your water in. Only water.
Do we have a few words first? Do you want to say anything?
You almost made it.
I would like to thank everyone here and Ms. Walker. We are sad we're leaving Las Palmas, but honestly, this volunteer work wouldn't have been possible without the help of my wife. And I know that my kids are a great motivation to keep on going, even though sometimes it gets rough, you know. Ms. Davalos is always there too. Señora Saeti. It's a team. It's never by myself. It's always somebody, you know, also volunteering, also giving their time and heart and making of excellence, you know, because there's either you do it or you don't do it, and it's always excellence. We do it to the end. And then, you know, I'm humbled, because how hard could it be, right? Just volunteer, but it's plenty of work. But again, it's possible. It's possible because we all work and we do make time for those moments for our children, for our future, right? For our future. And I'm glad that we are part of this community. And this is not the end. This is probably just another stepping stone. So thank you very much.
For the record, you don't actually have to go.
You can keep on volunteering.
You're going to Palmer way next.
You're more than welcome
Palmer
to
way
stay
next.
here because your daughter is dancing here. So I just want to make that very clear.
You know my club.
Doors are always open. You're always welcome.
Bravo, señor Vaina.
For our parents.
Everyone. Right. Family affair.
I'd just like to add that for someone who's so shy when it comes to public speaking, you did an excellent job. And no, you don't have to leave. You know, to be a member of the PTA, you don't have to have a child in the school. You're just somebody who wants to come and volunteer with our kids, and you don't have to ever leave. Ever. There's always something to do.
Good to know.
Okay, item C, to introduce and welcome new employees. We have classified staff. I'll send that over to you, Dr. Peckman.
I have the pleasure of introducing and welcoming our new employees. What I'd like to do is call your name and read a little bit about each person, if you wouldn't mind coming up, and then we'll stand up here and take a group photo. Our first new employee is Araceli Del Vaso, Child Nutrition Services Assistant at El Cleon School. Ms. Del Vaso has over 7 years of experience working for the YMCA as a youth development leader and teacher. She has also worked for 2 years at the Alvarado Parkway Institute as a mental health worker. She has completed prerequisite coursework at Southwestern College and is currently pursuing her nursing degree with National University. Welcome, Araceli. And I don't believe she's made it just yet, but she did confirm that she would be here. So, our next new employee is Irela Oyama, Instructional Assistant Healthcare at Las Palmas. Come on up. Ms. Oyama has over 3 years of experience as a preschool assistant teacher. She is pursuing her child development degree with Southwestern College. Welcome, Irela. Our next employee is Fatima Valencia, Child Nutrition Services Assistant at Kimball School. Ms. Valencia has over 7 years of experience in childcare and as a daycare owner and 6 years of experience as a secretary for Alvarez Registration Services. Welcome, Fatima. Our last employee is Carmela Ziegler, Instructional Assistant Healthcare, District Rover. Ms. Ziegler has been a substitute instructional assistant with the National School District since February of 2023. She also has over 20 years of experience in billing, administrative assistant roles, and as a medical assistant. She holds a medical assistant program certificate from the United Education Institute and a bachelor's in business administration from Holy Angel University in the Philippines. Welcome to all of our new employees.
Thank you. Okay, Okay, we're now going to move on with the business portion of our meeting in case any kids need to go home and do your homework. I know how important that is. So don't feel obligated to stick around. You're more than welcome. Thank you all for coming. I didn't give you something.
It's like you have homework too?
Not today. Are you finished?
Okay, good.
Under item 6, public communications provides the public with an opportunity to address the board regarding an item on the agenda or other topic. Anyone wishing to address the board shall submit a request for oral communications card. Cards are available near the entrance to the boardroom and are to be submitted to the recording secretary. A member of the public who wishes to address the board on any such matters is limited to 3 minutes for one matter, up to a maximum of 5 minutes for all closed and open session matters. There shall be a limit of 20 minutes for any matter unless such time limit is waived by the majority vote of the board. Members of the public may not yield any time to other speakers, and no board action can be taken. And with that, we will call up Tamara McCain.
Good evening, governing board and cabinet members. Professionalism, according to the United States Department of Labor, means conducting oneself with responsibility, integrity, accountability, and excellence. It means communicating effectively, appropriately, and always finding a way to be productive. To my colleagues, if you agree with the statements or feel or think that they ring true for you, please give me a snap and a yes. We do not expect more of others than we do for ourselves. Yes. Our productivity is being robbed. Yes. Just one small example is our professional development that we came back from our fall break. It could have been differentiated by grade level as we differentiate in our classroom, yet we all received the same professional development and the same presentation. We feel anxious each time we open up an email to let us know that Brick Row has been updated. Yes. It will take so much time to figure out where the updates are and what they are. There's lots of links for more information. We are frustrated by how to keep track of our calendar, or should I say calendars. Google Calendar, the new calendar system, I can't even remember what the name is. There's an email. Tomorrow you have training. It's frustrating. Yes. We have an increased expectation for our outcomes in our classroom, but feel that our support is scattered at best. Yes. We have pleaded for more help in the classroom, but instead we've got 5 more administrators. Yes. We are not being consulted on what's best for our children collectively or individually. Yes. I could go on, but just let me say, tonight we survive. Our hope is that our leaders will start to listen and finally truly understand what we need to strive. Yes.
Dorothea Donnelly.
Good evening, executive and board members. My name is Dorothea Donnelly, and I am a TK teacher at Ira Harbison. I want to take a moment to tell you a little bit about me. I grew up in 2 different households for most of my childhood. See, my parents decided to get a divorce when I was 5, and from that moment on, my life was a difficult path to maneuver. I grew up in 2 different houses with 2 different sets of rules, with 2 different sets of expectations. Because I split my time between my parents, I missed out on a lot of social events like birthday parties and school activities. Then, by a miracle, in 5th grade, my mom agreed that my dad could sign me up for softball. And I think that was the changing point in my life. I was finally part of something. I belonged somewhere. I was able to have that camaraderie and social aspect in my life that was lacking, and which is extremely important to a child's development. Because of that opportunity in 5th grade, it gave me confidence to try new things. From there, I went on to play softball throughout high school, as well as basketball. I was lucky enough to play collegiate basketball as well. Being part of extracurricular activities helps strengthen developmental skills that every child needs. And that's what it did for me. It taught me how to deal with peer interaction. It taught me how to set goals and make plans for success. It even taught me how to deal with failure. I am now a mother of 5. My children are 17, 15, 13, 11, and 4. I have 3 in dance, 3 in soccer, 1 in flag football, 1 in baseball, 1 in track and field. I have 1 who is in robotics and engineering clubs, and 1 who wants to try out for lacrosse. I guess you're wondering what my point is. My point is this. All these things that I and many of our unit members support and encourage our children to do cost money. With the wage gap between teachers and non-teachers constantly growing and now facing the increase of our out-of-pocket costs for benefits, I am having to, as a parent, a mother, and an employee of NSD, take a hard look at the small extra things of my family. What do we cut? As families, when our wages aren't enough in this economy, how do we continue to afford things that are the first to be cut by our school districts? How do we ensure our children are thriving and their needs are being met? How do we decide between activities that allow children adequate development and social growth or basic needs? You as a school board, not the district, not Dr. Brady, not Dr. Burke, but you, the elected officials of our governing board, have the opportunity to show the human component to our basic needs that impact our ability to do our job well. Thank you.
Janelle Patel.
Good evening, board members and executive cabinet. My name is Janelle Vital, and I am an SDC teacher at Rancho de la Nacion. This is my 5th year teaching SDC TK with the National School District. While I am passionate about my job and very proud to serve some of the youngest students in the district, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, with differing skill sets and needs, my position as an SDC teacher has come with many unique challenges. First, all SDC classes have a maximum class size of 14, with many classes being filled to capacity. If you didn't know, SDC TK is considered non-categorical. We do not have a concrete definition of what this means. When I first started my position, an early childhood special education authorization was required. According to CTC, an educator with this credential provides early intervention to students with mild, moderate, and moderate severe disabilities. Because the district refuses to label it, that is what non-categorical actually is, a mild, mod, and mod severe classroom. As you can imagine, with a varying range of needs and 14 in a class, the classroom becomes an extremely unsafe environment for both students and staff. In NSD's last job announcement for an SDC TK teacher in May 2023, it states that the teacher provides an educational program for students with non-severe but academically limiting handicaps, which is misleading as I have had students with orthopedic impairments and severe developmental delays, including students learning to walk, students with severe behaviors that can be dangerous to themselves or others, and students who require maximum support in the classroom. General education TK lawfully and appropriately has a cap of 20 students. Therefore, a lower cap of 10 should be put in place for SDC TK. The problems in SDC TK do not end here. My SDC colleagues teach up to 4 grade levels, How can you expect them to effectively modify curriculum when they have so many students, grade levels, and responsibilities? Not only are we assisting students with building independence, self-sufficiency, daily living skills, communication, academics, and behaviors, we are also expected to differentiate instruction, create and monitor IEP goals, fill out paperwork, ensure students are mainstreaming, answer emails, work with service providers, manage instructional assistants, create interesting lessons, and of course, teach. This leads me to my final point, toileting and diapering. How can you expect teachers, both special and general education, to do all of their expected job duties and manage children who are soiled at the same time? The district emphasizes the importance and value of instructional time and exceptionally prepared learners. But look at all the potential learning time that will be lost. Numerous SDC teachers have left. And if you expect all unit members to assist with toileting, you can expect even more to leave. No one came into teaching to compromise their safety or because they wanted to teach 4 grade levels. And no one definitely came into teaching to assist with toileting. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're moving on to 7A, to accept the agenda. That's the motion of the board. A motion by Ms. Vice Clerk Castaneda, second by Ms. Avalos. Please vote. Let's see.
Pressing it.
Still working, huh?
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Number 8, to approve the consent agenda, routine items of business. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be acted upon in one action by the board. It is understood that the superintendent has recommended approval for these items. There will be no discussion prior to the time the board votes on the motion unless members of the board, staff, or public request specific items to be discussed and/or removed from the consent agenda. All items approved by the board will be deemed considered in full and adopted as recommended. And I understand staff requested we pull item 8C1 from the consent agenda. 8C1.
Pull it for a separate consideration or just pull it entirely? No, request to vote on separate. Another meeting or?
Just separately, we have a name to add to the personnel action report.
Okay, so first we'll vote on the consent agenda, the rest of it. Do I have a motion?
I motion to approve to, item 8 with the exception of 8C1 to vote separately.
I second the motion.
We have a motion by Ms. Bettencourt Castaneda, second by Ms. Raza. Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Under 8C1,
Thank you. As you know, on Friday is our deadline to upload our agenda. We're always pushed to ensure that we have all of our employees cleared before putting everybody on the agenda. We posted the agenda and we had someone that cleared that same day, but the agenda was already posted. So we would like to add Barbara Resulton, temporary classroom teacher at Olivewood School, added to the agenda, who did not make her name on in time for posting. It's Barbara Resulton at Olivewood School.
Just because I don't know, it's okay for us to add her at this point, even though she was not presented on Friday in the original agenda, because usually the whole point is that everybody has that information early.
Yeah, so the Brown Act open meeting law says we have to post our agenda at least 72 hours ahead of time. There is an allowable clause that you can make changes up and through the board meeting to your agenda. It is not a practice that we typically do. just for transparency and clarity, you would just post it separate. So in this case, we're asking to add her name, and it would be put into the minutes that she was approved at the minute.
I'll motion to approve item 8C1
I'll
with the
motion.
additional name added.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Ms. Bettencourt Castaneda, second by Ms. Gates. Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Under item 9, general functions, A, to approve out-of-state travel for CSBA Coast to Coast 2024. Each year, the California School Boards Association provides an opportunity for trustees to attend a Coast to Coast advocacy trip in Washington, D.C. Registration for the 2024 trip is opening soon. Trustees will state whether they are interested in attending based on their available budget. Travel will occur from April 8th through 10th, 2024.
So, it's just year 3, has it been offered every year? This has just been the third year it's been offered. Okay. I'm just clarifying.
Yes. So each year since 3 years ago.
Not normal AAC.
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
For what?
Move to approve.
I move to approve out-of-state travel for CSBA Coast to Coast 2024.
But don't we need to know who's going to be interested in going?
So during the discussion, we'll determine that. First, we just approving the out-of-state travel.
Just approving the budget or the action going?
We're approving the out-of-state travel from the budget. And then during the discussion, we can discuss all the specifics. So I have a motion made by Michelle Gates. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I have the second motion.
Second by Ms. Lizarraga. And the discussion, Ms. Gates?
So board recently adjusted our travel parameters to include an annual amount and then a rollover not to exceed amount. Part of our discussion, and this was open session workshop, was that we wanted to honor the funds provided by the district for travel and conferences, but not have some, if we weren't able to go for a few years, for instance, COVID, we weren't going to things. We didn't want to have a
lot of carryover.
Yes, we don't want to have carryover that then became unreasonable sitting in a pocket somewhere, not ours, the line item from Dr. Burke. And so we have reviewed that, and each of us have received our current standard, our current amounts that we have. So based on that amount, I would like to, as far as I'm concerned, I would like to be able to attend this in April as one of the trustee representatives, and I do have the travel budget to do so.
Yes, we looked back at the cost for Trustee Avalos had attended the Coast to Coast in the past, so we looked that up. The total cost for her trip was $3,806, but I do believe she went one day early. So if your budget's tight, you could go just on the days of the Coast to Coast without the free day as well. But that's about the cost it was. So anybody that has a budget under that would be eligible.
So that's, you have the budget to be able to do that.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, is there anyone else who is interested? I would be interested in that. So we're saying that we're approving it. Okay, so the maker of the motion would like to amend it to include Ms. Gates.
Well, that's why I was asking.
Sorry, let's go forward with the discussion with Bedford.
So, I also think, just
being a part of the delegate, we have this discussion as far as, the whole process of the, coast to coast. It is very, beneficial if our superintendent attends as well. So I'd like for us to also consider, having our superintendent approved. I'm not sure if she would be able to attend at the time. But I know that other districts have taken their superintendent, even some have their council, but we don't have a sitting council in our district, but they also have taken their council. But if we can have our superintendent attend along with us, there have been opportunities where, things have been, opportunities have arose where they have, monies have been awarded, and different, options have been given where districts, there's been opportunities for districts, and we don't want to miss out on opportunities when we have, especially our superintendent there, that gives us upper hand when we're speaking with our legislators. So, having been spoken, we have to speak with many of the different other board members that have attended. Some have attended with their whole board, which is not ideal. It is very costly, but it is very beneficial when the superintendent attends, especially in our own district. So if we can put that in there as an option, if we can, since we're going to vote on it tonight, that as how does she travel, we can put that into consideration for tonight. I don't know if she would be able to attend, but if we can put it on there tonight.
This is Rhonda.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that we have the responsibility to report back and have something that you learn from her is that you'll grasp in there big notes. I know Dr. Rady and the trustees that are going is responsible to bring back what they're advocacy for, what their suggestions are, what their ideas are to adapt to this community. So it's always a good way to impact what we do and what we can improve here if we haven't done it, or we can compare what they've done because it's coast to coast. Whatever they're doing on the East Coast, we can apply it to implement here on this West Coast. So it's always a way to have something in place to have the responses to bring back and report back to all the community members or constituents that are listening. Because I know, as you mentioned, it's costly, but it's in way to make it worthy of what on the trip that we got there. Knowing the fact that we have a technical support of somebody that is working along with us, because Dr. Ray can be very supportive on this measure and what to say, because it's not how we say it is who we talk to recognize our leaders at the federal level so we can grasp that ideas and share out to the community.
Because it's an advocacy trip, I would also encourage us to have a pre-conversation as board and administrators on focused topics. It does not make sense for us to go to an event like this and actually meet up with legislators and then go, that's of no earthly help to our district. It's of no help to our surrounding districts because we have sister small districts and our voice really only gets heard in the, sometimes in the cumulative. And if we need to, that would be one of my questions. And I'm glad we're talking about this at this point so that we can be looking ahead towards what are the things that we should be advocating for. What are our unique needs as national, as Southern California, as sitting, just miles from the border, as, all of those dynamics. It's not just a trip. And it's not like it is, as Trustee Lizarraga pointed out, it is a learning experience, but it is also a speaking for experience or opportunity. So I would like to add that as kind of a prerequisite to anyone going to these moving forward. This is what this is. This is a legislative advocacy trip. We should know what we're talking about and what's at the heart of our district that we're asking for. That's my extra thought.
Dr. Grady, you're next.
Yes, I do agree that having the district vision with the board's vision can be very helpful. I haven't had a chance to check my calendar. I do have a spring wedding. So maybe superintendent or designate somebody who could advocate on behalf of the district would be wise in the approval process, if that's okay with the board.
Consider. Sorry, Board President, you got another comment?
Yeah, that was one of the, sorry. One of the concerns I had, or questions I had brought forward, originally prior to the last time, or last year's, event, trip, because it is a, we are sending or spending, kids' money to go out there, because you have to have a game plan when you go out there, and be very clear as to what our district is advocating for, because it is very important to know what direction, what our focus is, because when we go over there, as we have all attended, or most of us have gone, and the legislative action day, we don't always have an opportunity to speak. So we just need to at least have an opportunity to at least leave something behind if we can't speak. So if we have a game plan, we can leave something behind if we don't have an opportunity. Because as far as I understand, I know we didn't get an update, but I did get an opportunity to speak to others. It was a lot of people all at once. And so if that happens again, if we have something to be able to leave behind, at least we have an opportunity to have something to speak or leave behind on our behalf of our district. It is very important to definitely to have a workshop beforehand. I agree, because it is something that it is an investment. It's an investment for our district. But also, we're not the only ones that are going to have the same concerns, especially when it talks about special education. That's something that is very hot topic. So let's figure out how we can collectively make it a stronger advocacy, so we can go together and advocate stronger. So,
Thank you. Thank you. I totally support the idea of having a plan in action before going to this trip, because this is an advocacy, but this will give us a tool to be prepared to write letters to our governance. And I support the idea of having a plan in place before going to that trip, because at the federal level is all the United States go there. California has been very represented because we are very severely impacted by the budget, specifically policies implementation, so we can have tools enough to write letters to our officials and to allocate that properly, so we can allocate that money. Because at the federal level, you may hear millions and millions of dollars. By the time it gets here, it's a very little chunk of money. And we'll are severely impacted for that, and specifically our students that we serve. So thank you.
Any further discussion?
Just as a note, in terms of the cost, I know that the additional day, it was suggested that it may not be necessary, just because the scavenger hunt was not a recommendation. So if we could, to save on the cost, it was suggested that.
It does say April 8th through 10th, so I'm guessing that doesn't include that additional day.
So I know it was an add-on.
So we're just approving those 2 days.
Yeah, just if we can stick to those without doing the add-on.
I'd like to add that I know we had a discussion after the fact, after the last one. I'm glad to see that we're going to be represented. My concern is that our elected officials are here in this area. We can always go meet with them at any time whenever we need to, make an appointment and go meet with them without having to spend $3,000 or whatever dollars to get their attention. And I know too, because this is a national event, that there's gonna be tons of people there, so it makes it pretty difficult to get the ear of the person that represents you. So that's something that we can consider doing as well. And I had shared before that our joint school boards meetings that we used to have, we had invited our elected officials, for example, our senators, assembly members, congressmen, we had invited them to attend one at each meeting to come and tell us what they're doing, what's on their mind, what is a priority to them. Give us, and it consisted of 5 school boards here in the South Bay, so it gave us the opportunity to tell them, this is what we need. And for those types of items like special ed and the ones that affect us the most, then we have their ear. And we let them know that the combination of us 5 districts represented 180,000 students in the South Bay alone. So I think that got their attention, and we did have their attendance early on. Later on, they didn't find it as much as an interest to them because they started sending representatives, and we don't want to talk to representatives. You know, we elected you to represent us, and that's what we want to do there. But that's something that we should consider doing as well, so that we can get more bang for our buck. Something else?
Yeah, so what they're also considering is not just having our local representatives that we meet with, but also crossing party lines, because what their decisions, the decisions that they're making is also impacting ours. Our students, I mean, like our area, so across California. So that's something that potentially CSBA is going to be working on, because it's not just our local area, our senators, our legislators that are the decisions they're making that is impacting us. So if we are not just going to be potentially meeting with our area, it's beyond. So that way they understand where we're coming from, when they make a decision, that it's very impactful on our area as well. So, because you're right, we can just go down the street and go meet with them. Why go all the way across, to DC and incur that cost? But it is very powerful when we get everybody together and make that, make that statement. But it also, we do speak to other people besides our local government. So there's a lot of changes that are going to be making for this time around. The first year was very painful in terms of the coast to coast, the way they rolled it out. Second year was still kind of a lot of bumps in the road. So this time around, they're talking about making those connections to outside of our local area, but also it is important for us to meet with them as well.
Thank you.
1 second, I think Susanna has the floor.
Thank you. Really speaking, it's funny to know that it's realistic to know that we all approach and very sometimes delay on sitting down and meet with you. Not all of them are like that, but hopefully, because I'm a strong believer that it takes a community to raise a child. But realistically speaking, sometimes they're unapproachable. If they give you delays or give excuses for not having that connection, sitting down one by one with you. I have experiences. We already send invitations to every single elected official. Not all of them show up. Not because they're not interested, it's because they don't know. And we need to encourage the interest and implement a plan of engagement for them too. And we can just go with them or they can come to us. We all know our phone numbers, our emails, and they're publicized. So, but realistically speaking, not all of them are that approachable, unfortunately. But we're gonna strive for the positive part of this. We can see and we can sit down with us, and because sometimes they're neighbors, sometimes they have students in our school. So we can be more proactive in how we approach to them and how we can work together and changing these ideas, because it takes a village to raise a child. And those 4,800 students need our help, and that's what we're here for. So just to put it out there, and for the community out there, talk to them. they're not unapproachable, but we need to establish that relationship in a positive way. Thank you.
Ms. Avalos.
You know, you mentioned something about speaking to the public officials and not having to go down there to Washington DC. Public officials that are here, I belong to Senate Organizing Project, and I have met with every public official this year. As a matter of fact, how many of you were invited to Steve Padilla's office? I didn't see any of you there. And that was an opportunity for every one of you to have been there, to have spoken to Steve Padilla's office. I was invited, I attended, I was able to speak with him and let him know who I was because they wrote me an invitation. But you don't have to go that far, you're right. As a member of STOP, in the last year or two, we have met with every public official. All you have to do is call them up and make an appointment. Either they could come here with questions that you have, or you could go to the club or to their office and sit there. We met with Shirley Weber, we met with Ben Wessel, we met with quite a few about schools, about housing, about homelessness, about many things. And as far as Mrs. Bittencourt Castaneda, you said something about that Coast to Coast was very bumpy this year. This is the third year that they're gonna, last year was bumpy. In what way were you saying it was bumpy? Because I attended last year. Or was it this year that I attended? This year.
This year.
So how was it bumpy? Because I didn't see anything that was bumpy.
Because of
Because I didn't see you there at the Coast to Coast.
because the way the organization of for example, the way they made the rotation, there was so many people in groups. They should have had smaller groups. The scavenger hunt, I was told that there was they crammed a lot of too much in a short period of time. The invitation, not everybody attended the invitation to meet with the legislators. Some board members didn't even attend. So they just attended the orientation, but didn't actually attend with the legislators. They just
Who were they?
attended
Because I could take
presentations. They weren't getting all the information out. There was quite a few things that there was of concern, so they were learning from that. So,
Well, you know, I have to disagree with that because I attended and I was in every off. The only time that they were not there, they had somebody to represent them. But I went to every office that there was the list. And all you had to do was walk either up or down or across the street or around the block. And they were there. I didn't see anybody who had missed anything. As a matter of fact, I even got an invitation to go to President Biden, who had the president of Korea here. And I have the invitation, a written invitation to go. And there was a lot of things that were going on at a specific time where I understand you cannot attend every single thing, but you could choose, just like when you go to a conference, there's sessions that you can choose to go to. And that's the decision that you make.
Well, I think in the future, this kind of discussion is what should have been held after the fact when you gave your report on the conference, so that any kind of feedback that needed to be shared could have been shared at that time. Right now, the only thing we're voting on is just to allow the out-of-state travel and send 2 board members and the superintendent if her calendar.
just to
Or
clarify,
designee if your calendar
just to
doesn't allow.
clarify, this information was shared with me by a delegate that attended both years. So it gave me a comparison from both years so that they were able to give me comparisons. So they can compare apples to apples. Somebody who just attended 1 year cannot compare them both. So that's why they can compare it. So that's why she cannot. And so I'm just to clarify.
Thank you. Can we have a vote, please?
Do we need to adjust? We did, because yes, but do we need to adjust the?
The motion needs to adjust.
That's what I thought, to include specific names and to include the superintendent or designee. Because I think that was me. All right, I move for 9A, or I amend my motion to approve out-of-state travel for CSBA Coast to Coast 2024 for the trustees who have shown interest and have budget Currently, those are Michelle Gates and Maria Betancourt Castaneda. And also for the superintendent and superintendent or a designee appointed by the superintendent to attend and represent our school district.
Thank you. Ms. Zaraga, do you agree with the change?
Yes.
Okay, with that, we please vote.
Sorry, who's second?
You just need any-
Oh, yes, okay. That was me.
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, item 8, presentation on California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress Results. Dr. Kraft will be making that presentation.
Good evening, President Sarmiento and trustees and executive cabinet. I'm excited to share the National School District performance results for the 22-23 school year. Tonight I'll be going over the LPAC school, test, the CAS, and the iReady. So, it's different here. Is it okay? Okay. So I will be, I wanted to bring us back to and remind the focus that we had last year. In 22-23, we were really focused on accelerating learning. Our goal is always to make at least 1 year's growth when we are looking at accelerating learning as a result of the learning loss we experienced during the pandemic. We are looking and working hard to try to do 1 year plus to the greatest extent possible. And the other factor that we were looking at is closing the opportunity gap. We know that the pandemic did remove students from a lot of opportunities, and opportunity or those experiential learning experiences build student schema and help them in using higher order thinking skills that they'll need later in life. And so we've been building those programs. So around those two areas, we looked at math. In particular, we did a lot of professional development in around oracy, increasing oracy, around academic conversations and writing. And we did a particular focus on strategies for English learners because we do have a large population of students identified as English learners. We also encouraged the larger instructional time when math instruction was happening, and also worked with differentiation strategies so that more students were able to access grade level standards even if they were behind. And we established systems of classroom partnerships with our district resource teacher. For several years, we've been doing a lot of professional development around English learners. Last year, we cemented academic conversations around content areas. Of course, we continue to work on that. And then again, really pushing for those grade level standards access because we know that's what increases achievement for students. Those were our major areas. We did have a minor undercurrent going through with our focus. A broad course of study was launched last year in which we were increasing our STEAM opportunities and focusing again on oracy and vocabulary, as well as incorporating the San Diego workforce components in our programming. We also began the science cohorts with our UCSD partners, as well as our San Diego County office partners. And again, to weave the consistency of our EL needs and our strategies, we also incorporated the concept of academic conversations and writing within the science training. We did have several cohorts of teachers
that went through it. And we're preparing, we're wrapping up, I believe, one more cohort, and we're preparing to get our teachers to a point that we will ask them to be part of our science adoption, and we're looking towards having a science adoption this spring. With that, I will talk about our LPAC, our English Language Proficiency Assessment of California.
Dr. Kraft, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Not to interrupt your flow, but I am noticing that there's a PowerPoint version and a slides version of your presentation. And there, I know you made some changes. Did you make any changes to the charts that you're going to present?
No, I just made them nicer, prettier.
Okay.
Not the charts.
I don't see you in the one that is your icon.
I don't know.
I apologize.
No, it's okay.
Oh, there it is. It does say PowerPoint. Yeah, that's the one. There we go.
Okay, great. Okay, so with that, I will move into our LPAC scores. The LPAC is the California assessment to determine proficiency in English language for our students who are identified as English learners. The state does require a performance level of level 4 for our students to be considered for reclassification. And so the blue numbers that you see across in this graph at TK 9.09 reflects the overall percentage of students who are meeting level 4 in that grade level. So you can see across all the grade levels and the amount of students who hit that level 4. And you can see we're seeing more of them in the latter grades. If you see the blue boxes with the +6, +6, +11, and +1, those boxes indicate the growth from last year in percentage of students qualifying for this versus this year. So last year, for example, in 4th grade, we had about 14%, and this year we had a 6-point increase, and so we're now at 20%. Again, this is one of our focus with our professional development with English learners, as well as really pushing that acceleration to the greatest extent we can. So how do we compare? So looking at the comparative results of the state, the county, our 2 neighboring districts, and a national school district, our LPAC scores are on par. We are performing nearly what is expected and happening across the state of California, which is a very positive thing since we do have a demographic that varies across the state. And in the county, we're just slightly behind them. And so we're focused on meeting them and exceeding them in the next year or so. So with that, I will move into our English Language Arts CAS results. But before I go there, I do want to talk a little bit about the iReady diagnostic reading performance. So oftentimes we present the CAS results, and those results are a reflection of performance by students in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. As you can see, but those performances are not isolated. They're built on the foundations of what's happening in our primary classrooms. And we know that early intervention, early response makes the difference. So on this chart, you will see this is the performance of kindergarten students at the end of the year last year, final results across the district. The green line indicates the percentage of students that are meeting or exceeding grade level proficiency. The yellow line indicates they are nearing. There's sometimes a 3rd line in red, which indicates that they are below grade level by 2 years. So if you take a look across the board, you can see that there are blue boxes. Those blue boxes indicate the growth that we made from the year before to last year's end. Again, focusing on that acceleration of growth. We did see a few places where we had significant drops at the end of the year comparatively to the year before. And fortunately, we have a current structure now with our data discussions, and these are conversations that our principals are able to have with their teachers to develop a plan, personalized plan for the students that are showing that up and down trend. I do want to note that Palmer Way is at 85%. I do want to recognize that there was a slight dip that they did have from last year to this year, but the fact that our 85% of those kindergartners are exiting on grade level is something to celebrate, and we want to encourage them. In this chart, this is first grade performance at the end of the year. As you can see, 7 of our schools have made significant growth from last year to this year at the end of the year diagnostic. We do have slight dips in a couple of the grade levels. It could be a variation simply on just coming back to school and being so little, or having missed some of the components of school. We're watching that closely, but we're fairly pleased with what we're seeing in first grade, at least in the blue boxes. This is the reading diagnostic for second grade across the district. And again, as I shared earlier, the green indicates proficiency, yellow nearing, and the red behind. And so you're starting to see that achievement gap arriving in the second grade. That's why we really want to focus on that early intervention. But that acceleration, the concentration that's happening in the classrooms, that in-person instruction, the intervention programming that we began last year and continue to do with our MTSSI coordinators are having a significant impact. 9 of our schools made additional accelerated growth. With that being said, I'm ready to go into our CAS English Language Arts results. As you can see in the column that is to the left, these are indicators of performance bands, standards exceeded, standards met, nearly met, or not met. If you take a look at third grade last year, President Sarmiento brought to our attention an article regarding third graders and literacy and reading about mid-year that was concerning as a result of some of the impact of the pandemic. We really took that to heart, focused on that, and as you can see, we have about a 6-point percentage met and exceed gain as a result of that. Also, fifth grade. In fifth grade, that's been a grade level that we've focused on for several years. It's transition assessment. We see a lot of dips historically in fifth grade, both in math and ELA. And last year, we were able to make a 4% gain in met and exceed. We did see dips in fourth grade and in sixth grade, which resulted in about a 1% decline overall in performance. So what does it look like across our district? As you can see in the stacked bars, each of the colors represents a grade level and the percentage of proficiency at that grade level. The numbers below, such as at Central, 30.23, indicate overall performance in CASP ELA. As you can see, we've got some schools that are now accelerating and moving towards pre-pandemic numbers of proficiency, such as Palmer Way, Rancho, and Otis. Pre-pandemic was in the 40s, and we're starting to inch up in that direction. So how do we compare? So taking a look at the ELA CAS results of last year at the state level, the county level, two neighboring districts and ourselves, we saw a general trend, and you'll read it in the media, that the results were fairly flat across the board in ELA. There wasn't as much movement this year with that. So we are taking steps to ensure that we continue not only to meet the one-year goal, but maybe push a little bit further so we can get that acceleration to increase our scores. We have a student group of students with disability that we are closely monitoring and watching and putting a lot of energy into this year. If you see the blue line, those are the students with disabilities that took the CAS. Generally, these students are in classes such as mild mod, or they're receiving an academic support or an IEP within the general education classroom. The red are students with disabilities that are generally in an alternative curriculum, such as Mod Severe, and they take an alternative assessment called the CAW. So as you can see, the performance levels of like students in the state, the county, San Ysidro or neighboring districts, South Bay, and NSD, this is something that we are taking seriously and addressing as we speak. We got to chase South Bay in our performance.
Did something.
Yeah.
I did something.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're creepy. I'm watching. And so, again, we spent quite a bit of time on focusing on our EL students because we want them to be able to access and thrive within our general education setting and have as many opportunities when they leave us as possible. So all of that professional development, all of that work has paid off. As you can see in National School District, our English learners meet and exceed is outpacing the state, the county, San Ysidro, and just barely South Bay. And so we're going to double down as we get chased and continue our work. With that, I'll move into the mathematics CASP and again start with the iReady. This is the data from iReady, final performance for Kinder for mathematics. Two of our schools made great gains, especially Central in our kindergarten team, Central with a 10-point gain. El Toyon, a 1-point gain from last year to this year. Across, we did see a dip in math at the end of the year of kindergarten, and we're going to be working with our math DRTs to go in and to find out what might be, dig a little deeper in the data, might be the supports that we need to ensure that that math proficiency goes up this year. In first grade, you can see that 6 of our schools out of 10 made increased gains from last year to this year. And several of our schools did dip from last year to this year. Again, it's the, bless you. It's the same concept. We are also looking at that green line increasing. One of the key pieces that we want to ensure is that we are at least making 5 to 10% gains of acceleration each year. So remember, that's a year's growth and a little bit plus because we're still dealing with the residue of the pandemic. And finally, this is our second grade end of the year iReady performance data. This data is, I think would be, they were pre-COVID, right? Yes, our third graders are our last COVID individuals. And so we're seeing, again, once we've gone back to in-person instruction and we've had more flexibility with attendance, that was a factor in the first year back, that we are seeing gains in almost, I think 6 of our 10 schools. In particular, we saw a significant gain in El Toyon from last year to this year, 25 points increase. And so with an impressive 51% at the end of the year. So we hope to continue that trend and replicate it, learn from each other, strive together, and share some of the techniques that are allowing us to accelerate the learning with the kids. With that, I will go into the CAS math scores. As you can see, I will draw your attention. I'm very excited to share this. Math was a huge focus that we had last year, and the areas that are highlighted indicate growth in met or exceed. And as you can see, in third grade, we had a 6% increase in met and exceed. In fourth grade, in addition, another 6%. And this is really exciting in fifth grade. As I presented to the board over the last few years, we know that mathematics in fifth grade has been an area that we really had to focus on. It's a transition that's been a bit challenging, and we've seen the same trend across the state. But our teachers doubled down, and we are seeing the results of those performance gains. We did lose ground in sixth grade at the exceed standards, but we did increase in the MET for a total overall increase in mathematics of 3% for national. So again, what does that look like across the schools? Again, we're focused on acceleration. We're focused on growth. We know where we started. We know we have to close it. And so on the bottom, you'll see the percentages of overall of students' mathematical performance, 3rd through 6th for each school. On the very bottom, you'll see though the blue boxes. Those boxes indicate the percentage of increase of students meeting proficiency at each of those schools for math proficiency. So for example, if you take a look at Ira Harbison the year before, they had about 16% proficient in math, and this year they've gone up about 14%. So yay to the teachers and yay to the administrators and all the hard work that's happening at the sites. We're starting to see the benefits for our students and our families. So how do we compare? Looking at math, our percentage rates are lower than the state and the county. However, we are outperforming them in growth across the board. Last year, San Ysidro, we were behind, and this year we exceeded. Not that we're competitive. And again, South Bay, I see you. Not that I'm competitive. And so we will continue to stay on this focus and this trajectory, as math is a really critical component, as you've heard in the presentations with the workforce. Math and science offer a lot of jobs and opportunities in our area, and we want to make sure we prepare our students should they choose that direction. So looking with students with disabilities and mathematics performance, again, the blue are students who are taking the CAS, and the red are the students who are taking the CA, which is an alternative assessment. And as you can see, we are behind in the state, the county, and just on par with our neighboring districts. So this is something that we really want to look at and try to find ways to address it. We're currently, Dr. Vargas, myself, as well as Ms. Melanese, are going out and partnering in discussions with our special education teachers, really looking at those IEPs and finding ways that we can get those students more access to the general education curriculum, because we know that increases achievement. So overall, when we're looking at our English learners, again, it has been a payoff. We are, for English learners in mathematics, we are outperforming the state. We're 12.56% proficiency, and although that doesn't seem big, it's a significant jump and a testament to the work that's going on at those school sites. So we're very proud of that direction we're going to. There's another component that 5th grade students take. It's called the CAST. This test, just like the CAST, is not just a reflection of what's taught in 5th grade. It's a reflection of science that's built through the years. And as I shared, Dr. O'Connor is leading our science cohorts out of UCSD and our partnership with San Diego State. We're beginning a math adoption, and last year we had several groups, and we saw an increase in our CAST scores. This could be a reflection of the knowledge that was coming out of those cohort groups. We tend to learn together, and we expect to see this grow as we launch into our science training this year, move into our adoption, and we expect this to soar in the next couple of years as a result of having the training and the right resources aligned to the rigor of the test. With that, do you have any questions? No, I'm not telling you any more secrets.
Well, I want to do a clarification. I have some things written down. I do want to do a clarification for the iReady information each time.
it says final 2023, so just wanna make
Yes,
sure I understand. Was this the 22 to 23 school year?
correct.
Okay. And so we are looking at the same group of kinders
Correct.
as they grew through the year.
Correct.
That's,
Mhm.
because sometimes we don't
Yes, it can
realize
be a
what we're
confu-
looking at, and sometimes, I mean, I remember learning this actually from Mrs. Hayes. Your name gets taken in vain so many times, but it's all good stuff. With talking about, as we look at these, a lot of times we look at the grade level every year
Mhm.
instead of considering that like that group of kids actually went to the next grade.
Right.
And so we have to know how we're tracking things because you could have a completely different group of second graders this year than you did last year.
Correct.
And with a completely different, array of needs.
Correct.
And so those types of things change. So I just wanted to make sure I was clear there.
So I would like, there's two components and I think I want to address. One is they're called match scores, where they're the same students and we're seeing the growth over time. There is a component of the data that looks at grade level over grade level over grade level. And that generally is an evaluation and a reflection of resources and instruction, because we know our teachers you never get the same batch of kids. You never have the same needs, so you have to have differentiation. And both data points do provide information for supports or programming that, that they may need for the next year. So both data points are important, but so the match data is the kids that took it in the fall and ended it with final 22, 23 after a whole year. So they were, yes.
Thank you. Part of that as well, which you're speaking to, one of the things that I've learned in the past 15 years of teaching and then being a parent ahead of time, is that classrooms cannot be kingdoms. Because especially in elementary school, you move up together as a cohort and you are then in different classes with different students the next year. And so our professional development time, our grade level PLCs, they're absolutely essential and vital in order for the entire team to be walking the same walk, talking the same talk, not copycat lessons, but
professional dialogue.
So that students are receiving equivalent teaching tools and strategies to go to the next grade level. It used to be that we were much more about, this was my class. We can't do that. And so I encourage us in whatever ways we can continue to enhance that grade level planning and prep time. There's a couple other things that I'm curious about. So, for instance, when we look at our number of students with CASP and CA, I'm wondering, do we have information on those, on California counties and San Ysidro and South Bay, of those who opt out? Because I know that parents can request that their children not take that assessment. And those percentages can really change what we're looking at. Because if 93% of our students take those assessments, but another school, another district, only 68% of the students are taking assessments, that can skew. I'm wondering if we have that kind of information so that we know that we're looking at a little bit more honest comparisons. Knowing, of course, that our district has a much higher English learner population. Like, we have a number of other things that our children are learning in a lot of ways twice as much as many others are, because they're learning it
dual.
Yeah, they're learning it and figuring it out from one language to the other, and with all these other dynamics. So I'm wondering about that.
for those percent of not taking. And then one other thing, and I'll try to stop. You mentioned, and I quote, you said residue of the pandemic. And you're right. And I do want to, like, this is one of those things that I feel like, and in truth, at some point, we're going to have to say, okay, we have to brush that, you know, it can't be used as an excuse, but it still is definitely a reason. In class, I still see behaviors that I turn around and go, I know you did not act like this in 5th grade because I know your teacher and we've had that conversation. And yet, in some ways, that lack of control that we had, parents needing to meet the needs of their families while trying to help with online, or going, hey, you're old enough, you got to do online, which meant that more than one of my students were sound asleep with their computer up. And, you know, you can only call a parent so many times in the middle of their attempting to work and say, hey, can you wake up? You know, Sally, she was asleep again. But we do still have stamina losses and things like that. So like I said, I do still want to say that there is residue. And we are going to continue. It's not, again, not an excuse for us to slack, but definitely a reason for us to incorporate. I mean, we still have little people who are scared to come to school and scared to be away from their parents because they were never away from their parents. And so those things are still real for us. So thank you for your presentation. And as I think I sent you an email, didn't I? I did. I was confessional. I sent it to you as well, I believe. But the email that pointed out that between San Ysidro and South Bay and National School District, the National School District outshone in a few things. And so on the one hand, I'm very proud, and on the other hand, I have some work to do.
Yeah, we know, we're watching you. No, we're in agreement, and I think our philosophy is we don't take it, not to borrow from science. It was a phenomena and a social phenomena that has impact, and every child in this district deserves to learn and to have the experience that they had recognized and nurtured. And so moving forward, there could be kids that walked right out of it and they were fine, and there might be still some students who have lingering effects. Our focus is to get them on to the right path, give them the supports they need, whether it's, a hand holding or caring for a while, because in the end, that phenomena will be gone. And, but the impact it made, it would be naive to pretend to erase it for families and for children. So we're in agreement with that, and that is why we are just focusing on giving them as much opportunity as possible, getting them engaged as much as possible into school, bringing that normalcy back, but also that passion and that normal, that childhood. And so, we continue to provide the counseling supports, and our staff. We know, we did have a conversation at a recent visit, which was a wonderful visit at John Otis, where, they noticed that some of the behaviors were not as pervasive, but there's, like you said, there are still some that are there. And so we want to recognize the incident or the phenomena that happened, and we need to grow with it, not deny it. And so we're in agreement, and we believe that we'll continue all the supports we have in school, and we're going to turn it around as some of the data is showing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for the initial image you gave me,
she also the stamina that we like sometimes like in other one.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if you can help us to understand the three words that you put in here, this close the opportunity gap, because three words are different, but together it makes an eye opener for us.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you can give us I don't know, maybe a simple example of what it looks like to close that gap.
Uh-huh. So there's research out there that says that sometimes the academic gap is related to opportunities that students have. And sometimes those opportunities are a result of institutional barriers. Sometimes they're socioeconomic barriers. And so these components do play into students' trajectories and their in their performance in school. Perhaps they don't have access to medical or to healthcare, mental health care, where, somebody that did have that resource could address that more readily and nip it in the bud. In some instances, a student may not have it and it becomes pervasive and it grows and it becomes a much bigger problem. Also, just opportunity for exposure to the greatest extent possible. So some students may go home and not have much interface, or they have to watch their siblings and they're not going to dance class, or they're not playing on the soccer. And so we know that a child is whole. And so we are trying to incorporate as many opportunities for kids to build interest, to be engaged, and to grow in terms of experiences, so that when they're reading something or they're talking about something, they have what's called a schema, a prior knowledge in which to make that connection. And that gives them the same edge as somebody that had that opportunity if we weren't able to, outside of school. So we've, as you know, our REACH program and our DLOP program is growing. We're offering as many opportunities that are engaging and fun and still educational in the after-school programs. We're offering now pathways. Ms. Melanie's just, I don't know if you approved it or it's coming. I think it's coming. We're going to have an after-school artists program for the kids that are truly artists and they want to go to art class and they may not have that opportunity. And so if we can provide that opportunity gap, we can provide those opportunities for students. It's just one more way to increase student achievement. But more importantly, it's a way to engage students in who they are and give them interest that may later on in life save them from going on paths that we don't want them to.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that explanation, because having the discussions of what is being done on the family, environment, how we can break that barrier of hesitation. Sometimes we as parents, as I mentioned because there was a question yesterday that said, what is the problem with hesitation?
Yeah.
How are we gonna tackle that hesitation for parents to put them on more services, more exposure?
Right.
So if you have the opportunity to review those ones, we need to celebrate and increase the stamina of a family. It's not only the child. Because we see the environment is like very crucial for them to grow, and you can see the result. But we need to celebrate every single little success.
Yep.
And I've seen this visuals of who's doing what, and it makes me say, how are we gonna increase the pride of being a Kimball Lion or a Gator? I haven't seen that competition between schools. Like, we did great this, but we have room for improvement there. But the celebration for every single effort from student, hopefully we can get the stamina going. And it's like, look, Rancho de la Nacion did good on that one, but we need to prove that. And then how we can create that capacity of competition. So hopefully we can get something in regards, they are doing well. I'm a cold, so I can do a better job, and I'm a cold and I'm resilient, I'm strong. So hopefully I can get that idea of, what I can learn that I don't do, and that clear mindset of that, because the competitive world is out there when they graduate from high school. Now what?
Correct.
So we can create that sensation of competition out there when we see those results. And as parents, we hesitate a lot because we don't expose them to the services that are there, but we are afraid to ask. you know, I don't know if it's a cultural thing or if it's a family decision. So hopefully we can get something. And I'm really eager and I'm a strong believer of that. Celebrating every single effort that they do, specifically with the special department. When we see it and we see that all the growth, and when we go to the special department, it's like, okay, so what we have to do now? So we need to be more proactive about what we tackle now. And I know there's a big team behind it, and it's people who are willing to collaborate. We have an outstanding student support services team that is willing to be more creative with those support, and hopefully we can see those numbers shift in the next report. And I'm very, I'm not gonna be hesitating no more, but I'm gonna see the stamina will be gone. We'll be there, but the hesitation will be gone if we inform every single party on an EP. So hopefully we can get that one.
Yep, that's what we're working on now, and Dr. Vargas and his team are leading parent workshops, and we've got Ms. Gill doing reach out, because you're right, the whole child it's a package deal. You know, when they say you marry your husband, you marry their family.
Yes.
We've married their families.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just to put the message out there to, it takes a big team to raise a child. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Gates, real quick.
I just want to, you've mentioned double down. Our fifth graders, see, if you notice, they had to take an extra test too. So, and there was growth for them in all areas. So a lot of respect to our fifth grade teachers, the fifth grade teams, and fifth grade students, because you took on more. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we point that out. You mentioned it, but as a whole,
bravo.
Yes,
I agree.
Fifth grade is hard.
I remember. Any other questions? No? Thank you, Dr. Kraft.
Thank you.
Item B, to approve the digital subscription renewal with Curriculum Associates LLC for Elevation Platform. What is the pleasure of the board?
I'll second that.
Motion by Ms. Bettencourt Castaneda, second by Ms. Gates. Please vote. I'll change my vote. I hit the wrong button. Sorry. Go over again, please. Barbara, you're absent.
Oh.
Sandy, you're absent. Absent? You're revoting.
Not a stain.
Okay, thank you. Item 11A, to approve CT 4125, the School Employees Association of California. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
I second the motion. We have a motion by Ms. Bettencourt Castaneda, second by Ms. Avalos. If no discussion, please vote. We can't vote till you second.
I'm pressing it.
Okay.
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 12, business services to amend CT 3045 with YMCA of San Diego County. Do I have a motion?
I move to amend.
We have a motion by Ms. Gates, second by Ms. Bettencourt Castaneda. Thank you. If no discussion, please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Number 13, Board Cabinet Communications, Ms. Avalos.
Well, I want to be able to thank our principal, Mrs. Walker from Las Palmas, for bringing those lovely children, young, but they were not afraid to stand up. I like that little boy with the glasses on. I don't know if they were prescription glasses or he was afraid of the lights, but he did a good job. He did good. And they all did a great job, so I'm very glad that they were here. And for myself, it's always an honor, and I feel good giving an award to Felix Barhan, because he is a volunteer and a Strive volunteer that is very important for all of us to have him there. And I'm sad that one of his children is going to be leaving our school, so he's going to be gone. But I'm sure that he's going to be doing a volunteer in middle school as well. I want to welcome all the new employees. Some of them were here, some of them I'm sure that were probably just couldn't make it tonight, but I'll get to meet them later on in the daytime tonight. I have gone to the Masters in Governance in Long Beach. I originally took my first class in Masters in Governance, 14 years ago, and I first became a board member. When our Dr. Brady became superintendent, I was very happy to accompany her to go and do the Masters in Governance, and we both got our certificates, and we both were able to participate on the blackboard, and I followed her because she knew all the answers. And not that I was cheating or anything, but she knows more than I do, so.
Great collaboration.
But we did a nice job of going to our Masters in Governance. And since I became a board member again, I was reelected as 2 years ago. I did not get reelected, but I decided to run again in 2 years, and I did win. So I thought it was my responsibility to go to Masters in Governance again, because so many things have been changing through the pandemic and all the things that we had. Things have changed. I am really glad that I did go because I learned probably more. Not that I didn't learn the last time, but the speakers were very good. And I was able to write on notes, and I had asked Vanessa on my third, I go all the way to San Marcos. I drive in the morning to my classes, which is there because I don't like to do things over Zoom, tired of the Zoom meetings, really. I want to be able to sit next to somebody and be able to converse and get to know who they are. And I met some wonderful other trustees there as well, which we're still communicating with each other. And I asked Vanessa if she would please make copies for our school board members, trustees who were unable to go or had already been once. But I encourage you, if there's a chance to go again, please do go. Even though you've been there once as you became a board member, but learning new things that are here that you should really know about, I learned a lot. This is, thank you, Vanessa. This is for the third course of school finance. This tells you everything, how to read it, what to look into, and each one of you will get one of these here. And then the last one the fourth one is I went to how to collective bargaining, which is so important, and which we're all really doing now. And these are new things that we got to look into and to know what we're talking about and how we're doing it the right way. And, everything changes minute, hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. That is the way I think anyway. So I did bring copies for review. I have one more class to do, and I will finish and get my certificate from Masters in Governance, and I'm looking forward to it because I learned a lot. I really, really did. I took a lot of notes. As you all know, I write a lot of notes. I might not be able to read them later because I scribble, but I do take notes. And I don't know if I had said it the last time, I was going to the California Latino School Board Association convention, but sadly to say, they were picketing, so I would not cross the picket line. But we were going to have Tony Thurman there, our president of TSBA, and Doris Huerta was going to be there, and Silvio Mendez. I think I did say that at the last board meeting, but just to refresh your memory, I have one more class to go in the Master of Governance, and then I'll be done with it, and I'm glad that I went. Any other classes that are available, I'm sure I would like to go to them. I want to thank you again. As you know, Mrs. Hayes, I'll always say thank you because she has, ever since I've been a board member, I don't think she has ever missed one. You did once? Oh, I probably missed it too because I wasn't here.
Right. I think before you got it.
Oh, but I'm only saying the time that I was here. You always came. So I want to thank you for coming. And thank you, everybody. And I will give you your things. Please look into them. Please read them. Don't just put them away in your drawers. It's very interesting. Okay. Thank you very much.
Victor Castaneda.
Thank you. I also would like to thank our students from Las Palmas for their presentation. It's always so cute to see the little ones over here presenting. Just see their expressions and the little things that they say. It's just it's so amazing. You just never know what's going to come out of their mouth next. So it's so cute. But they always do an amazing job. So thank you to them. and also Mr. Jose Felix Pagina for his volunteerism and his family, because as I always mention, it takes a family effort. It's a family affair. It's not always just the person being recognized, it's the family that is contributing. So thank you. And as I said, he doesn't go away. He can stay, even if his child is moving on to middle school, he can stay. And also welcome to the new employees to the NSD family. Look forward to meeting the ones that were not able to be in attendance. Also, welcome to Stephanie Culan, and congrats to Rancho de la Nacion. Congratulations for her being selected as principal. Dr. Kraft, thank you for your presentation here tonight and your team. As I know it's a big to do for the presentation here tonight. I know there's a lot of work that was put into it and a lot of work that goes that to continue. I know we have work that needs to be done, but with the efforts from all of your team, all of our amazing teachers, our students and our families, I know that we will continue to move forward and move up, and our students will be thriving. Just wanted to make mention that CABE, the 28th annual mini conference, is going to be coming up soon. I know that we have previous years have been participating. Good to hear. It's Saturday, November 4th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Otay Ranch High School. It's always been something that our district has participated in. Our students have benefit from in terms of receiving scholarship. So if we can please get the word out. It's a workshop designated for our teachers, our TOSAS administrators, families, parents, or community members. So if we can please, if you haven't signed up already, please do so. Breakfast, I think, is included in registration. I have attended, I'm not sure if I can attend this year, but I'm definitely going to make an effort to. It's very informative. It's something that it's a lot of information. It's again, it's a learning experience for all. It's a lot of information. Talk about all kinds of different literacy for our families and so on. So I encourage, even if you've already attended previously, if there's different sessions that are offered. So if you need information, I can get the flyer. If it hasn't been disseminated in our district, we definitely need to pass that on. And with that, I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lizarraga.
Thank you. And just to be on the momentum, last Friday was the SERIA, which is the special education resource fair. And there was a conference as well. I wasn't able to attend, but I'm going to be on the meet CABE, so I'm going to be aspiring. I have two Sweetwater Union students, so I'm going to be the aspiring to learning a little bit more to be able to make better choices and avoid the hesitation that I was talking about earlier. So there's nothing that an educated parent is just misinformed. So as more as we inform, we just break that gap of hesitation and make the step further about our child education. So I'm very happy to see the leadership of the little ones from Las Palmas, and I just cannot imagine what it takes to have a peer showing you and guiding you through reading. You know, reading is always a big, crucial component of learning because it creates confidence, support, fluency, and vocabulary, peer-to-peer support. It's not the same as the teacher tell you what book to choose and get it home and read it. It's like, what are you being a buddy? And, read it to me. And they get you jump on reading. So that makes a big difference. And thank you, Las Palmas, for doing that. And it takes a teacher to do that. And I know it's a lot of curriculum. I'm not going to say pressure, but it's a lot of stress for a teacher to do that part, and stepping up and do that a little step on creating that environment for the kids and exposure to a big buddy that show you how to read. I remember back on probably 2007, 8, we have the Little Star, Big Star, Little Stars on Kimball, and that was a very, very good programming from San Diego State that they brought in that program, and there was a body not only for reading, from learning and exposure to that academic and college-bounded kids. So hopefully we can bring that, the more programs like that, and I'm very happy to see that they took the microphone and adjusted and stood up and look at every single one of us. So that takes leadership and courage to be there. So I'm glad that they were exposed to those ones. So, and for another shout out to the parent volunteer that was awarded today, 7 years of volunteer. I remember one time we were at a PTA meeting, he was with his helmet because he worked in construction, listening to the Zoom meeting on the PTA while he's working on a construction site. That takes a commitment. And I cannot be spoken out with Elena and how lucky she is that both parents are. And I was sad. I can see the future of that girl, like striving in every single thing she does, because usually there's the male and less engaged on the kids' education. It's always usually the mothers or the maternal side on the engagement, but the parent engaging on the girl side is very powerful. So I'm envious of Elena, of the little girl that has both parents have been awarded this year. So I wish the best of the future for her. Hopefully it's a call out for our paternal side to be engaged in that. I always have conversations with principals, what it takes to a parent, because for a girl is, and I am a girl too, and I wish my father would be like that, but it was usually my mother. And it's hard to be mother and father at the same time, and that creates an impact on the child. So I'm very blessed to know the family, and they have 2 more products of NSD, and they're striving outside in the community. So hopefully no. I will see them in Clearwater, but they're in the community. There are they're thriving. They're I think the other 2 are on the Marines, and the other one's in high school. So, and he's doing great. They're good citizens. So I'm very proud of that family too. So for that being said, hopefully we can get Maurice to I'm going to be in the LPAC tomorrow, ELAC tomorrow, so hopefully I can be there tomorrow. If we can have somebody I'm going to have a peek on the superintendent student roundtable. I'm going to have a little peek of what they're doing, because I'm very curious about what they're bringing to the table. And it's exciting to do that. And other than that, welcome to the new employees and to the family. And just to put a mindfulness out there about how the feeling of a teacher, and it's a big shout out to the teachers too. And I wanted to let them know that we feel their emotions and their honor, and we don't want to go outside and think that we're not listening, and we are listening. So just a message out there that we are very proactive and we honor their feelings, and we making the outstanding effort also to help them as much as we can in our capacity. So I know there's several conversations, and we move forward to have, as a family, we'll have our differences, but not to succeed on what we do. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gates.
Well, yes. There's just no way to follow TCARES. There's nothing you can do that's going to make you sound better, smarter, any of those things. They're going to have stolen the show, and anything that comes after it. Sorry, Dr. Kraft. It's okay. It's just the way that is. And there's so many things that we're old, we don't think about. But like, it was fun just to hear some of the cues that were being given as they were talking about, well, show them the front of the book, turn to a page, all of those things. Like, I didn't know until I, started taking classes that there's a concepts of print idea that a child knows how to hold the book properly. They know where the front is. They know which way to turn the pages. Like, I don't remember learning those things, but it's one of those things that they are walking around, and it's being modeled for them by kids who aren't really that much older than them. obviously, you compare William to Amari, a lot taller, but not much older. And, it's a really good thing that Mr. Petty and Ms. Taher are doing with building that. It also builds trust, that the older kids are not just tall and scary, that they can actually be there for you. So I'm really thankful for that. Speaking of some other classes, I was reminded again today of my pride in our district. Because as I was meeting with a student, we were having our Wednesday tea and talk time, and that student mentioned to me their interest, their desire to hopefully go into theater and to take folklorico classes and some things that I turned around and was like, well, at National, there are things like that we are doing as something that's just simply available to our students. And as you said, that opportunity gap, things that built into their time, or maybe a little bit of an extension of the day, but not something that requires mom and dad to drive half an hour in order to get them to the things, I'm thankful we have them here. I do want to also remind everybody about Red Ribbon Week. We are a district that is committed to watching out and teaching our kids to be safe when it comes to the choices they make, to watch out for themselves and others when it comes to drugs, to vaping, to smoking, to all of those things. And we are purposeful with it. So some of us do have our lovely tags on. Yeah. And it's also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. At my school, we do Spirit Days too. So, it was pink. So Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so I will throw out a quick reminder. If you have not had your check, please go do that. It matters. And let me see. Oh, I had the great honor, honestly, to be at El Tayon. It was a coincidence that the day that I had set aside for school visit was the day that Dr. Brady and the administrative team needed to be at El Tayon to meet with, sorry, why am I saying El Tayon? Lincoln Acres, I apologize. Lincoln Acres to meet with the teaching staff and the classified staff there, and to discuss prioritization of students. And there was not a fuss from any of the teachers during the meeting. I was able to attend that meeting and then was elsewhere for the classified staff meeting, but there was no fuss from anybody about what to do. There was no fuss about us coming to school or focus on, teachers or staff members. It was all, what do we do to make sure our kids are okay? How do we let parents know? What can we do to help ease concerns? How do we meet our students' needs? Like the whole conversation, yeah, there were details along the way, but in the middle of what could have been, what was already stressful but could have been worse, it was apparent that they knew how to be a family and they knew how to watch out for each other, and that was what they were going to do. And so I want to thank the principal. I want to thank all the staff. I want to thank the parents who showed up for the parent meetings, and the community for the respect that was shown for the kids, the respect that was shown for each other. It was in the way that our administrative team and principals and leadership team came together, and it was, even watching that was simply a matter of, what do you need? What can I do? How can we make that happen? And I mean, you always hope that that's what will happen. It was beautiful to watch it be true. So thank you to all of them. Let's see. I would like to offer up the possibility of, because it's been mentioned more than once, we do have our local legislators and those who are housed here. What is the possibility for us, as we could and whatever, maybe have time to set up some legislator meetings, that pairs of us, mixed pairs, whatever. I feel like I'm talking about ice dancing or something, mixed pairs, but that we could go, again, with intentionality, to have had the discussion of maybe a top 3 things that we really should be bringing to our legislators who are here and saying, hey, we're advocating with you, we need you to go and advocate for us. But instead of, just hoping, how can we go about planning and actually see about working that in as part of our duties on purpose, maybe? Yeah. That's why the pair stands. Yeah. But something I'd like to encourage is for something purposeful. And that actually means we're going to have to set dates and have those meetings to discuss what our priorities are to take at a legislative level to people. And last but not least, so Mrs. Davalos was here. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, they show up, and this is the thing. Mrs. Davalos watched all 3 of my children as a parent volunteer, who then became a campus student supervisor, but she watched over all of my children, and here she is again, still faithful to this district, though all 3 of her girls are grown. I'm thankful for her and the role she played, and that my children always knew they were safe. Kelly Jordan was here, 3rd grade at Las Palmas. She was Carissa's first Las Palmas National School District teacher, and really solidified for Carissa that she could do what she set her mind to, and that a teacher thought she was cool. And then Derek Petty was here, also from Las Palmas. He's a 5'6" combo this year, but he had Michaela for 6th grade. And Mr. Petty, she still asks how you're doing and if I hear from you. And you're really bad at social media, so I have to end up stalking you down so I can find you. But all 3 of them at Las Palmas specifically spoke into my children's lives. Following that with that first child, Miss Jordan. Just yesterday, they have this residency application process thing as med school students, apparently. And as an OBGYN wannabe, she gets less choices to put forward and to apply to than others do. Yeah, no, it's weird. So she had 3 schools call for interviews, and 1 want her on their wait list for interviews. So I just throw out there every once in a while, these are the kinds of kids we put out into our world. And yeah, they do cool things, but it's because they have cool teachers who told them they were cool in 3rd grade.
Thank you. Yes, Dr. Burke.
All right, I would love to give a shout out to our partners from American Fidelity who have been housed in our district office the last week, and have ongoing dates as we're in open enrollment. It's a very important time of year in the business office with health benefits. The reason I'm shouting out to American Fidelity is because that is an option, one of our benefits that can actually stretch the paycheck of every single employee in this district. And I don't know that people are aware of that. I think there's got to be a campaign to really make people understand what that benefit is. Of course, they sell things as well, like disability plans, cancer plans, and things like that. But the Flex plan itself, it's just designed to help you stretch your dollars farther and help cover your health costs. So every single employee in this district can benefit from that program. I promise you. There's no tricks or disappearing money there. Yeah, and childcare, actually, it can help with childcare as well. It helps take away the taxes on your medical costs. And the other thing I would like to say is during the meeting today, my brother sent me a picture of a brand new nephew that came in like an hour ago. So I am desperately ready to go home and FaceTime with my family to his family. So that's all for my comments.
I want to welcome our new employees and welcome Ms. Stephanie Conlon. I think she's going to be a great fit for Rancho. And I also want to thank Ms. Hayes for holding down the fort. And I hope that the transition goes well. Thank you so much for everything that you've done so far. I also want to thank the students at Las Palmas. It was great to see the program in place. I know my own son, 5th grader, is also participating in a buddy program for reading with kinder students, and he loves it. And most of all, he loves that the kinder students wave to him on campus. So he's well known. I also want to thank Mr. Baena for volunteering, and we know that we can't do this work without our parents and our volunteers. So thank you, Mr. Baena. And I too want to thank the Lincoln Acres community for the work that we did in regards to the threat that we had, but also really thank Dr. Brady and Daniela Ruiz-Jo for their leadership throughout the whole process. So thank you very much. I do want to let everyone know that tomorrow we have a classified and substitute recruiting fair at the San Diego County Office of Education. National School District will be represented. And then on November 4th, we have a job fair at Grossmont College. So we're hoping to recruit more new employees. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the Las Palmas students. You're right, it's very difficult to follow that. Absolutely beautiful. A 6th grade and TK striving together. The Read to Me program. It's a shout out to Dr. O'Connor and the MTSS coordinators for coordinating that program across all of our schools. It's one of the intervention programs that we're trying to put in place to help accelerate that learning. I want to welcome all of our new employees and especially excited to work with our new principal at Rancho. And then I want to close by saying thank you to Beverly Hayes. I want you to know that you're a model of an educator.
Thank you.
And I'm very, very grateful that you are committed to the National School District family and are always a phone call away. So thank you very much.
Always my pleasure.
I'll be calling though, you haven't quite finished.
I've been told my comments are long, so I'm going to try to get Dr. Burke home to see that nephew. First, I just want to say thank you to the entire Educational Services team for the work that Dr. Kraft was able to celebrate today, all of our staff that are the front lines with the kids, a lot to celebrate and a lot of work to continue. And I know that there's great work that's already underway. It was great to see not just the percentages and the test scores, but also to see the level of work that the kids are doing. And we've seen it month over month when we have our student presentations. And tonight, this was our first ever TK presentation. And then to see that compared with the 6th graders, it was really nice to see. I did want to say that Dr. Kraft has offered to pay the entrance fee to the CABE for any board member that would like to attend. It won't hit your budget, so if that helps you set aside November 4th to go and learn. Dr. Kraft is going to pay for it out of her budget.
Okay.
Again, I know that trustee Lizarraga mentioned that on Friday we'll have the student roundtable. I would love to see board members come and meet the roundtable kids. They'll be starting their presentations to you in January. We also had a parent roundtable last night virtually, and we're allowing the parents to bring the agenda forward, and it's been very well received. And thank you to Dr. Kevin for being there last night. And I know Dr. Kraft has been on this. Dr. Burke, you're up soon. I wanted to, again, echo what's been said about the Lincoln Acres staff, the professionalism, but also to thank the board for your leadership, for those of you who are at parent meetings on the front end. I know, Maria, you were there, and then, I'm sorry, Trustee Betancourt Castañeda, Trustee Gates, and Trustee Sarmiento on the back end. Those of you in the middle, those of you who picked up the phone as we were calling you, and just supporting us through it. Safety is first in National School District. So thank you. It was a tough ordeal, but with a happy ending, a safe ending, we'll say that. And then I just want to say welcome to our newest principal, Ms. Conlon, and of course, Bev, I know you'll do some great coaching in that transition, and thank you for your continued dedication to National School District. Happy Bosses Day to the governing board. I'm a very lucky superintendent to have a board that puts children first. I really do appreciate the work you do for kids. And I'll end with happy birthday to Trustee Betancourt Castañeda. I know we celebrated last time, but your birthday is this week, so happy birthday to you and happy Halloween. If you want to celebrate them together, you can. All right. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to share that I had received a phone call about a week or so ago from a parent at Altoyan telling me that they needed some assistance with their fall festival. Apparently their stuff had been stolen. They didn't have anything. Their booths were stolen. Their decorations were stolen. Prizes for the kids, you name it. And so, and she called me because she knew I had a few friends on Facebook, maybe 1,000 or more. And so I shared something on Facebook, and I got calls this week from Channel 5, Channel 10. I don't know if they've run anything yet. I haven't been watching the news that closely, but I did hear from a parent volunteer yesterday who said that the checks have been coming in regularly. They're thrilled about that. They're able to go out and buy what they need, what they're lacking. And so they're very thankful. And I wanted to put that out to everyone here to let them know that, as we know, National City is pretty special. We've got a great community. And when somebody needs something, they always step up. So I just wanted to thank the community for that. Also, I understand that the National City Fire Department will be giving free flu shots every Tuesday. I don't know when that ends, but please share that for anyone who may not have health insurance. But and I believe it's 9 a.m. to 12 noon on those Tuesdays. But I should have come better prepared and had more information. But you can always contact the fire department, and they'll give you that information.
And we're going to be sending the flyer out.
Oh well, what do you know? So you'll get all that information. And with that, meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming.